All right. So Secular Sakai is saying, Armin, back when you were a Muslim, did you identify as Ismaili, Imamiyya, Twelver, or another Shia domination, or were you a non-denominational? Okay, so this Imamiyya, Twelver is just the main Shia default religion, I guess, in Iran. So, I mean, I never identified as Ismaili. Like, it would be very bizarre for me to identify as Ismaili because you would have to, I think people who are identified as Ismaili are born into it. I haven't ever met a single person. I'm sure they exist, but I haven't ever met a single person who was convinced into being an Ismaili because none of these make any sense, right? Like you have to be born into it. Like not have to, but most likely are born into it. So no, I mean I obviously when I was a Muslim, you become a Muslim that is just accepts the de facto religion, which is like the you know 12er Shia Islam, all the way to Imam Zaman, which is the Mahdi version, the Shia version of the Mahdi, right? So from Imam Ali to Imam Mahdi, that was what we assumed to be the correct version of everything, of religion, of Islam. So, but however, that's when I didn't take religion seriously. So that's what I was. But eventually, when I took it a little bit more seriously and I looked into it more, I became not even very interested. Like when I became very religious, my main concern was my relationship to God. My concern was not relationship to the imams or you know, it was it was just God. It was like I was obsessed with being close to God. I guess if I kept on being religious, I might have like become more like a Sufi or something if I kept on being religious. But then the more I took it seriously, the more I looked into it, the more ridiculous the whole thing ended up seeming. Um, yeah, but I think maybe if I've continued being religious, I would have been a Sufi because my relationship to God was the most important thing to me. All these other discussions about different sects seemed you know insignificant compared to what the priority should have been God. That's what I thought, right? um all right, I'm gonna star some of the comments here which are not Patreon questions, so I could get to these questions at the end. All right, so Rob has a follow-up question on Secular Sakai's question. Rob is saying, follow-up question for Armin: how are Shia minorities such as Ismailis treated in Iran? Are they treated better than the Sunnis? No, I think they're treated. Okay, I'm not very sure about this, but I think they're treated worse than the Sunnis because they're a bigger threat to Shia Islam, and there's a whole bunch of conspiracies around them. Shia minorities are considered to be like agents of Zionism or Great Britain or something that is come to like tear out Shiism from within. And also there's less of them, right? There's more okay, I don't know about this, but I'm assuming there's a whole bunch of more Sunnis. I shouldn't talk about Sunnis like that. There's a lot more Sunnis in Iran than there are Ismailis. So Sunnis, if you are mean to Sunnis, they are too much. I mean, they are discriminatory against Sunnis, but Sunnis have a higher capacity, especially because Sunnis live at the borders, right? So they're either eastern borders or western borders of Iran. So if you treat them too harshly, their separatist movements will become a lot stronger. So I mean, you want to like the Islamic Republic would be discriminatory against Sunnis, but not to the extent where the separatist movement will like, okay, that's it. We're gonna we're gonna and a lot of the Sunnis in Iran are armed, right? So that's why there's a limit to the discrimination that the Islamic Republic can do against the Sunnis. But the Shia minorities, I mean, they're not armed and they're less and they have no support. And there's a whole bunch of conspiracies about what they represent, including being agents of Zionism, like the fifth column or Illuminati, all that stuff. These are all these conspiracies. Like we had it in school we learned about this Shia, the Ismailis in school, that they are like a conspiracy by the Great Britain and stuff like that. So all these things, so I think like Shia minorities have it worse in Iran than Sunnis, but that's my impression. So it could be completely wrong. This is just my guess based on personal experiences, and based on personal stories I've heard. And you all know how unreliable personal experiences and personal stories are. So just take this like this is not based on any data. So I could be completely wrong about this, right?
Hey guys, if you want to join these streams live, get your comments and questions read by Ali and Armin and the guests, and most importantly, to get full access to the full video versions of all these episodes, become a patron. Link in the description below.